Hello, hello, hello. It's Deborah Razzo here, and I'm with one of my favorite female investors, Kathryn Morea. Kathryn is not only a longtime friend of mine and investor badass, but she's also a partner of mine. We actually partner in a project in Puerto Rico, but she is not here to talk to us about that. She is she is here to talk to us about something else that's really sexy, in my opinion. In fact, we named the event that she's going to speak to us at, which is, by the way, April 16th, which Wednesday, April 16th, how to get multifamily profits from a single family property. Now, I don't know about you guys. I've been a landlord. I'm a landlord, right? And I think about, oh my God, is there any way that I could make this generate more so that I'm putting more aside in my cash flow? And you know what? I think Kathryn has figured out some really interesting niche to get that going. But before we start in that arena, Kathryn, why don't you tell people? I know that you have been a seasoned pro with Airbnb for over 20 years. I mean, how long ago did Airbnb start? Were you like one of the first people on it?
I was, yeah. Airbnb started in 2009 is when I started getting my first emails from Airbnb off of Craigslist ads that I had for vacation rentals that I was doing in Santa Monica and Venice at the time. And I was using pretty much Verbo and Craigslist way back then. And they started reaching out to me and I was like, oh, I don't know about this. They don't pay you until the people show up. I like to bank the money as soon as it's booked. But eventually I saw the traffic on Airbnb surpass the traffic on Verbo, and that's when I adopted. So I was an early adopter, but I didn't adopt them right when they first started reaching out to me. But I still have those emails that are from Air Bed and Breakfast back in the day.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know that I ever knew that that's what it was first called, Airbnb.
Yeah,
That's funny. Airbnb. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
I
So
know.
you've been a long time subscriber of hosting other people
Yeah,
in.
well, here's the thing. You have an asset that's a piece of property. And when you're in real estate, you have these assets, and I believe in trying to keep the asset. And there was a time that I was running out of money and I was trying to figure out like how can I make this asset perform better? And I actually looked at several different things. One of the things I was really looking at too was crash pads, I think they're called, which is like for airlines, like pilots and people who are flying a lot and they just need a place to like you know hang
Crash.
out. And so there were a bunch of people doing, a few people doing this particular market where they'd put like bunks and, put a lot of people in. And I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll do like a crash pad and looking for properties near the airport and trying to figure out if I could make that cash flow. But then the vacation rental thing really took off with Airbnb, and that was an easier business model. At the time, it was less regulated. And all of a sudden I could make, three times as much money as I could on a long-term renter with a short-term renter. So
Okay, and this is what I love about you, and this is why, I think that we've had hours and hours of real estate conversation.
yeah,
And that is like, you are always willing to try something new to accommodate your needs in the market, which I think is how it should be, right?
my
Uh,
needs are money.
my needs, yeah, exactly. My needs in the market. And I think that it's really important. You taught me this phrase. It's important for us to look at our portfolio and confront our portfolios.
Front our portfolio.
Sometimes we need to look at it in a different way to see how can we generate more income from this. Is there a way to generate more income? What kind of questions are we asking that would generate more income? So tell us this new model that you're experimenting with, that you're getting around to generate multifamily profits in a single family house. How did this all come about?
Um, so I'd had roommates back in the day. I'd rented a room, like, gosh, even as far back as the 80s, like renting a room in my house in Van Nuys, for like 300 a month or 400 a month. And the problem is like, with roommates, there can be a lot of friction when people are sharing a house. So if you're the landlord and you're renting out a room, you have to establish all those rules and boundaries. And, do you have kitchen privileges? Do you not? Like there's kind of a lot to think about. And then,
Whose dirty dishes are in the sink, right? Yeah.
yeah. So it's really sort of kept me away from looking at that business model for a while because I'm like, I don't want to run a boarding house with people who can't afford, even a rent on a one-bedroom apartment. Like, do I want to be dealing with that? And the market, the market has, there's my slipper, sorry. The market has started to awaken to the fact that there's a housing shortage in a lot of the cities. And as the amount of money that has gone into, just printing money, which a lot of it happened like during the COVID time. And now inflation has created, really high rents and really high property prices. And, people are having a hard time in bigger cities like Los Angeles. It's really hard to find, anything like affordable for someone who's just a working class. So
Well, let's face it, for someone who just needs a place to crash,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, you're paying, all this money for a single apartment by yourself, which is thousands. And
yeah,
then, if you're just there 7, 8, 9 hours in the evening
right.
because
Just
you're working
sleeping
so
and
hard.
yeah, to pay your rent.
Right.
Now I first heard about this app and this product called Pad Split back in at the very end of 2020 with someone that I had gone on a real estate cruise with, and he was telling me about it. And I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna work. I don't get it. And then it's gotten more and more adoption in the market. And because of the way that they've designed their product, which is kind of like Airbnb or Uber, where you're actually using someone's asset, like their house, but they're running the interference. They're the ones vetting the roommates. They're the ones, doing the background checks. They're the ones that are dealing with the friction that can go on, right? So just like with
Wow.
Airbnb, you have an Airbnb, you can call Airbnb and say, I can't find the key, or this wasn't what I expected, and they're going to advocate and mediate that issue. Well, the same thing is true for Pad Split. So this is a co-living business model where the company Pad Split is actually sort of mediating all the friction and taking that out of the hands of the investor who owns the property or is, in charge of the property ultimately, but isn't dealing so much with the day-to-day issues of finding a tenant or dealing with their stuff that goes on
Which
when
is like, to me, like the part I don't want to do.
no, no,
Right?
I
Like,
want
I
to do
don't
that.
want to navigate who didn't do their dishes. I don't want to navigate,
Who stayed in the shower too long, so I was late, like there are things.
right. I don't want to navigate any of that.
Right. So this is, I think, helping to create a business model that an investor can have a property, earn probably twice as much. I don't know. It depends on the rents in your area, but so the house I'm working on, like I will make a profit every month and still, and that's first case I'm doing. I'll live there and be able to make a profit every month. So it's
And
kind
you'll
of
live there
house
for free.
hacking. Yeah, it's kind of
Wow.
like a modified Burr method, by what is it? Rehab, rent, refi, and repeat.
Repeat, yeah.
But you can only, that Burr method isn't working so well when interest rates are as high as they are and
Right.
properties gone up so much. So it still has to make sense and pencil. And this is kind of a way to take, a single family asset and make it perform like you would if it were a fourplex.
So, anybody out here who's interested in learning more about this, Kathryn is going to present on April 16th. That's Wednesday, April 16th. Go to renmonthlymeeting.com to get your ticket. And I'm hoping, Kathryn, it's gonna be pictures, it's gonna be pricing, right? Like you're gonna give us the full deets, right?
Yes, yes. I'm still very new at this. I will say that, but I'm figuring it out. I already have my first tenant. So
Right.
it's moving along very quickly.
And
So
I'm assuming that this, automation collects rents, it screens
it
tenants.
does.
Like, oh my gosh, okay, I've got to hear all about this. And if you've got to hear all about this too, join us on April 16th and come and listen to how Kathryn set up her house, single family house, right? Your
Yes.
single family house with this Pad Splits app so that you can generate more income on a per bedroom basis. I'm
Right. And it's not just bedrooms. Many houses have ways to make additional income out of additional rooms that are kind of unused in a co-living.
Ooh, okay. She's going to drop a little teaser there to find out how we go about doing some of that. So if you're interested in making more money on your properties, on your rental properties, join us on April 16th. Click the link below at wrenmonthlymeeting.com. Kathryn, I can't wait to see this case study, and I can't wait to hear all about making more rental income on your rental properties. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Deb. I'll see you Wednesday. Next
Okay,
week.
next Wednesday. Yes.
Okay, bye.
Bye.